Hi everyone, how are you doing today? Well, in the last video I talked about my country, Brazil. A subscriber asked me to make another video talking about how to travel safe or safer in Brazil. So that's what we're going to talk about today, and hope you enjoy it. So step one is awareness. You need to be aware where you're going, why you're going, and how you're going. Is it a rural or an urban environment that you're going? How's the climate? It will depend on the biome, and Brazil has 6 biomes, and that matters a lot because, for example, if you're going to the Amazon region, you're going to need vaccine for malaria and yellow fever, febre amarela. And if you're going to, let's say, the south, to Itajaí, Santa Catarina, to Florianópolis, also in Santa Catarina. If you're going to Gramado in Rio Grande do Sul, if you're going to the southeast, you're probably going to São Paulo or Rio, and that matters a lot, okay? For example, how prone to violence is the place you're going? Is it a capital of a state or is it a small city? Okay, you're going to need awareness. Awareness also means that you're going to need to know what do you have to take with you, okay? From clothes to equipment. Let's say you're going to a rural environment to hike on trails, to visit waterfalls and so on. There are hiking trails that also lead to beaches in the coast of Brazil. So what do you have to take with you? You have to take light clothes. Do you need hiking shoes for that? Trail shoes for that? Do you need an EDC, an everyday carry bag, first aid kits, and stuff like that? Because if you get into some kind of emergency in the middle of the woods like I'm right now, sometimes you're going to need a knife. This one I made myself. It's a really cool knife. Let me show you. I showed in some previous videos before, but anyway, you need to know also if there are wild animals in places like this. There's always wild animals, and I'm not only talking about pumas and big mammals, big felines and stuff like this. There are many big felines in here. The canids, they're kind of smaller but not as all threatening. So I'm dividing this whole talk into 3 main topics, which is awareness. I forgot to say all this, but I'm going to divide it in awareness, precaution, and my personal recommendations of places for you to go from north to south. All right, from my experience and places I've already been. You might want to stay into the end of the video because some places I'm going to recommend to you, everybody in this planet needs to go to these places before they pass away. All right, moving on to precautions, because I was already kind of mixing awareness with the precautions you need to take. Well, for example, if you're going to an urban center like São Paulo, really big urban center, São Paulo and Rio de Janeiro. I don't know why I say Rio, Rio de Janeiro. Okay, the first thing you need is to learn basic Portuguese, okay? Because then you're going to be able to avoid some basic harassments that can happen anywhere, not just in the dangerous zones. They can happen also because foreigners are very easy to identify in here. A lot of people have an eye for that. It's not very difficult. And even though Brazilians can look like any kind of people in this world because we're very mixed up, it doesn't mean that we're not going to be able to recognize that immediately recognize that you're a foreigner, because the moment that you open your mouth, your accent will denounce you. All right, so learn whatever you can of Portuguese. One of the most useful words in here is não obrigado. It means no, thank you. Okay, because you're going to be able to cut off harassment immediately. Okay, you're going to be able to, like, for example, some people will try to force you to spend money in their store. Some people are going to try to force you to sit down and pay a consummation fee and in the restaurant or bar, or they're going to try to force you to sit there and they're going to try to force you to sit and consume something in their establishment, right? So you're passing by the streets and someone says, hey, come here, eat our pasta here, it's really good today, and stuff like that, and you just, no, thank you, no, obrigado. So basic Portuguese is a must. Okay, in YouTube you can find that pretty easily. You'll be able to learn a lot in a very short time. Another very good point of precaution that you need to take is you gotta observe how people dress. All right, where you're going. For example, let's say you're in the center of São Paulo. You can use wear brands and logos in your shirt and in your sneakers and stuff like this. Okay, it's not a problem in the center of São Paulo, in the center of Rio, in the south zone of Rio, which is it's more like an upper class neighborhoods. Okay, you gotta observe that, because if people around you are not wearing brand logos and fine clothes and stuff like this, because I know sometimes it's not even considered fine clothes in your country, but in here, if you go to a favela dressed in Adidas, wearing Nike sneakers and stuff like this, you're gonna get mugged. Okay, in the first 15 seconds, if I go like this, dressed like I'm right now, I will get mugged in 15 seconds in Rio. Okay, if I go to a lower class neighborhood. I would say middle class is also kind of dangerous. You might want to be looking over your shoulder if you're wearing stuff like that. You can easily find thrift shops in here, secondhand stores, right, to get clothes that help you to blend in better. Okay, so you gotta blend in. That will make it more difficult for people to identify you as a foreigner. All right. Okay, another point of precaution that you need to take is don't be flashing your cell phone all the time, especially if it's an iPhone. All right. If you're coming here to Carnaval, because many people come for Carnaval, right, which is in middle to the end of February. I don't even remember, sometimes the date changes. Don't take your cell phone with you on the streets. Don't take it. All right, buy yourself a burner phone, those older kind of model. You can find it really cheap in stores here, in cell phone assistant stores, and you'll be fine with that. Okay, and if you don't even want to take a burner phone, you can just ask people. If you know basic Portuguese, you can ask people in the street if you need to make a call for, let's say you were in the middle of people in Carnaval, because it can get really crowded, and you got lost from your friends, right? And then you need to find them again. You can ask anyone, basically anyone in the street, to make a call. I would recommend that you ask for people that are selling stuff in the street. Ask for the phone to make a quick call to find your friends again. All right, and use the marks, the visual marks that you can see to pinpoint your location to them. All right, just don't take your expensive cell phone in the middle of Carnival. Don't be flashing it all over the streets. Don't leave it over the table if you're sitting in a bar. or in a restaurant, okay, that has anyone in the street could pass by and take it from you and then run away. All right, that happens a lot in here. Be careful with your wallet as well, depending on where you're going. Anyway, that's a good point. Okay, now let's talk. God forbid anything happens to you, man, but some stuff can happen even in rural areas, even in hiking trails like this one that I'm now. A lot of young guys passing here, and I live in a kind of a hood. All right, it's kind of mixed up, middle class and lower classes, and some people, they're just unscrupulous. Sometimes the people are not even thieves and all of that, but they see an opportunity, and you see it talks higher to them. Sometimes it happens, man. God forbid anything happens with you, okay? But all sorts of things can happen with you. So if you decide to go to Rio, for example, and you feel this desperate need to go to a favela, to a slum, please don't be naive. Get to know a local and have him with you when you're going. All right, you'll be safer. And just pay attention to everything they say to you, please. Favelas are no joke, okay? The slums are no joke. I'm not even kidding. You can check out, there were 2 people from Rio that posted comments about the situation in there. And in my previous video about Brazil, you can check it out after this one, of course. And I don't even recommend that you go to Rio, all right? It's kind of complicated in there right now. If you go, just please avoid the favelas, all right? It's not a good place for Brazilians. Imagine for foreigners, all right? I'm serious, man. People think I'm exaggerating, or people think I have a grudge against Rio. I have been there a few times, a couple of times actually, and it's a wonderful place, man. The beach is beautiful, but there are other places. You know, Rio is a whole state, so you don't need to go only to the capital, okay, of Rio. You can go for example, to Trindade, which is also in the same state of Rio. It's beautiful in there, and you won't have the same kind of problems. Of course, just just try to have a local person with you. All right, check this out. There are ruins from an old construction in here. This place was transformed into a park. I think it was still in the 80s or 90s. These constructions, I think it's from the 90s. Yeah. But this place was transformed into a park, and now it's forbidden to build in here and throw garbage and construction debris and all sorts of trash. Anyway, people still do it because, you see, sometimes it's not even that the person is a criminal, you see, but they throw trash in here. They throw construction debris in here, and that sucks, right? Person knows that it's a crime, it's an offense. It's actually in the penal code of Brazil. We have a law for that. Doesn't matter which number of the law if I say it to you, but there is a law for that. And they don't even care if you call the police. The police is probably not even going to arrest them because they don't have a previous criminal record, so they will be released and they will keep doing it anyway. You see, that's how it goes in Brazil. Just for you to have a glimpse of how things are in here. So yeah, I know everywhere in the globe, any country that you go, there will be safer zones for you to wander and unsafer zones for you to wander, okay? I know this because I've been to other countries as well, and I've seen it with my own eyes. There are places in Germany that you shouldn't go alone, you know, especially if you don't speak German so good like I don't. I speak very basic German. And in America, for example, if you there are neighborhoods that you just shouldn't go if you're alone, if you don't know anyone in there. And why would you go there, right? Why would you stay in the streets until very late with no one beside you. So just be aware, you know. Even Brazilians forget sometimes that they, in some places, they can't be in the streets, depending on the neighborhood, of course, until very late. Like in Salvador, I was already mugged in there, right in front of the police station. All right, right in front of the police station. Some people threw me and my girlfriend at the time into a truck and took her purse, and I couldn't even see who of the guys was taking it because it was so fast, man. These people, these pickpockets, they're so fast. And I know, for example, in France you can find pickpockets as well, but in here there's an added danger. All right. Anyway, the truck was a police truck, and there were two officers standing right in front of it. So we got knocked right in front of two police officers. And I asked one of them, "Where's the police station so we can file, so we can press charges and stuff like this?" Even not having a clear picture of who mugged us. And the police officer just pointed up, and I looked up. Oh man, it was right in front of the police station. Okay, so be careful, man. This is the least of your problems. If you get mugged and robbed, it's okay, all right? But I'm not gonna say the words of other kinds of stuff because they're heavier words, and God forbid anything happens to you, man. But these things happen, okay? Believe me. So moving on to precautions for rural environments, I already told you. If you're hiking and stuff like this and camping, you need to take an EDC, maybe a machete with you with a proper sheath, because there are wild animals, and also they're the worst animal that you can find in places like this. Sometimes will be the two-legged animal. Yeah, that's the most dangerous one. All right, like I said, we have big felines in here. They're the most dangerous ones. We have other kinds of animals like the tamanduá. Not gonna put a picture in here because it will probably have a copyright on the picture and can mess up with YouTube recommending the video. But if you search for, I'm gonna put the name of this animal right here in the subtitles for you to search on Google. On Google. Damn, my dyslexia is getting worse by the day. Tamanduás are very dangerous animals, okay? If you see one, they're cute and all, they look very cute, but they're really dangerous, okay? Some people pass away because of encounters with that kind of animal. They don't know what to expect, and then the animal just tries to defend itself, and the worst could happen, okay? So always carry an EDC. Always carry a first aid kit. If you're a climber, please, man, just don't go bouldering anywhere. Only go bouldering if you have some locals with you. Again, with the locals, okay, because they know stuff around. They could, if you get injured or wounded or break some bones, like when you're bouldering, they can easily try to call for a rescue. I'm only talking about this because it happened already many times, okay? I've seen it. The media publishes all the time. It's always the same story, right? Even Brazilian tourists get hurt because they underestimate nature, okay? They were kind of playing in a slippery slope over a rock. It has a lot of mold on it. It's always the same story. You know, last week we heard, because it's the rainy season in the Cerrado, the Brazilian savannah. Take a look. It really looks like a savannah, right? It has some other kinds of landscapes on the Cerrado, but this one is the most typical one that you will find, right? But it can look very differently even though you're still in the same biome, all right? Anyway, last week we heard from Brazilian tourists that were taking the hiking trail back to get out of the waterfall they were in, because it started to rain, so they got off from the waterfall, because there's things in here that we call head of water, or a snout of water, cabeça d'água or tromba d'água. I'm gonna head back in the trail right now because I'm almost at the end of it. At least in this part, it goes way further in that direction. Maybe I go in that direction. Just trying to not get the sun right in front of the camera, right? And those tourists, they were coming back, and the hiking trail itself became a head of water, a snout of water. And it was difficult because they had to cross the river, and they couldn't, right? The hiking trail became a river itself, and trying to cross a river would be impossible. So they were stranded for a long time until the rain passed and all the water kind of drained down the watershed, okay? And that can happen, already happened with me, because I was already, me and my friends already got stranded like that in the middle of a storm. The most important thing is just, like, for example, let's say there's a river passing right here, okay? And up there in the watershed, I see it's not raining in here, but up there in the watershed, you can see a cloud, very dark clouds. Not a cloud, but very dark clouds, cumulus nimbus, right? The anvil, the clouds that have the form of an anvil, and you can see that up there in the watershed it's raining. Just immediately leave the water, okay? Immediately leave the water, because you don't know. You won't be warned, okay? Nature is not gonna, okay guys, it's time to get out because there's a head of water coming. Nature's not gonna do that for you, buddy, okay? It will be without a warning. There will be tremendous amounts of water just trampling down everything in its way, okay? Nature is not something that you should underestimate, all right? Not even the sea, especially the sea, but waterfalls also. Never play too much around water to find out what it's capable of, all right? Be safe out there. Have a guide with you, okay? Hire a guide. If you have senior, elderly people with you, hire a guide and an excursion van or a bus. Join in on an excursion and stuff like this. You can find it in the internet in English, all right? In your language, because these companies, they just want tourists to be safe, okay? Maybe you'll pay a little bit extra, but you'll be safer, all right? Your life is worth more than trying to what's the word again, man? Damn it. Your life is worth more than a couple bucks, all right? Extra to join in an excursion. Okay, what else can I say about precaution, man? I know there's a lot more to talk about. I can't even scrape the surface of it, you know, in a video, and probably this one will be half an hour or so because there's so much to talk about. But I believe I gave you the most important tips, and if you want to add anything, if you already had the experience in Brazil, you can share it there. You can share right here in the comments with the people there never came here and they want to come, and please share, okay? Tell me what I forgot. Tell me if you have any more questions. I think I'm going to move on to the third step, which is my personal recommendations of places for people to visit in here. So the first thing you need to know, that most touristic places, most touristic destinies in here have something called a CAT. Okay, we call it CAT, which is the Centro de Atendimento ao Turista, ou assistência, Center for Tourist assistance, something like that. I'm just translating from the top of my head. The sun is really strong in my head right now and can't even think straight right now. Anyway, excuses, right? Excuses for having bad English and not remembering things right now. I don't have a cheat sheet. Oh man, I said something I shouldn't have. A cheat sheet. Oh my god, man, I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry I had to witness that. Okay, I'm sorry for the sun right over your eyes also, but anyway. Okay, personal recommendations from south to the north of Brazil. Okay, the safer places that probably exist in here are the state of Santa Catarina and Rio Grande do Sul, Paraná as well. So you can go to Florianópolis, which is or Balneário Camboriú or Itajaí, places like this in Santa Catarina. They're safer from what people told me about. I've been to Rio Grande do Sul in Gramado, but I've never been to Santa Catarina and Paraná, which is funny because I have family in Paraná. My father was from there. Anyway, those are safer places, but Florianópolis, for example, and Balneário Camboriú are very expensive places. The cost of living in there is only for millionaires. I don't know, man. It's really expensive. I'm not saying there are not lower class neighborhoods in there. Of course, there are lower and middle class neighborhoods in there, but the cost of living for them is astronomical. All right, just like in where I live. I live in the capital of Brazil. No, it's not Rio. It's called Brasília in the Distrito Federal. It's like our own Washington D.C. As a curiosity, because most of my viewers are from America. I think 30% of people watching this are from America, from what I saw in the analytics. It's like our own Washington D.C. This curiosity that I was going to talk about. Our first republic was called the United States of Brazil. Did you know that? Yeah, because America and Brazil were always friends, allies. I mean, since the colonies, you know, we have always been in touch, and also England. We only became independent because England helped the royal family of Portugal to come here, and that led to the development of the empire. Brazil became independent because otherwise Napoleon would have chopped some head offs, you know. And then the English Navy, the British Navy brought royal family here, and they were safe. And then a few years later, we became an independent country. And then a few years later, a few decades later, when I say a few years, I mean a few decades. I have to go back now because I can already hear the road and some music, and I want to disturb the peace and quiet. Oh, it's like a pigeon. I forgot the name for these. Quails. It was like a small quail. That was the south. That was a curiosity that I digressed into. Okay, let's go to the southeast. Is São Paulo and Rio, but in São Paulo you might want to check Guarujá because it's closer to the beach. São Paulo is a few 100 kilometers from the beach, from the nearest beach. In Brasília, where I am, the cost, I was talking about this, right, before I digressed. In Brasília, the cost of living is also very high, but there are many other kind of, we call it satellite cities, which are lower income neighborhoods, middle class and lower class. And it's also a good destination, not a lot of violence in here. It was already considered one of the most violent places in Brazil, but not as much of today. Brasilia, if you like architecture, museums, that part of culture more, you'll be satisfied with Brasilia. Okay, there are many places to go in here, secret places. There's a lot of waterfalls, okay, and it's very close to the Chapada dos Veadeiros in Goiás. So this region here is the Midwest, as Americans say. It's like inland and kind of in the Midwest. If you go to Pantanal, which is also Midwest, kind of closer to other Latin American countries, and also to the Amazon. Pantanal comes, it means in Portuguese, it's like a big swamp, because pântano is swamp. So it's like a huge flooded area that we call Pantanal. It's its own biome in itself, and it's beautiful there, man. It's really, really incredible. You can also find lots of waterfalls, lots of river banks. It's wonderful to, so these places in the Midwest, it's all we have, right? Beautiful biomes like the Cerrado, the Brazilian savanna, and the Pantanal, the big swamps in here. It's everything really beautiful because it's a tropical swamp. It's nothing like the North American swamps. Okay, the only similarity is that it gets flooded. Anyway, it's flooded areas. So that goes, this is the Midwest. Then Brasilia is very close to the Chapada dos Veadeiros, which I think every single human in this planet deserves to see before they go from this life to a better one. Seriously, man, it's a place that you must see. As we go towards the northeast, the whole coast of the northeast is incredible. It's beautiful, man. The Northeast is also kind of dangerous, okay? The capitals are also dangerous. Not saying the smaller cities are not, but they're kind of safer than the capitals. Oh, I forgot to say, man, if you're going places, if you're trying to commute through the city, take an Uber, okay? You can get mugged inside of buses as well, pickpocketed and stuff like this. So if you're going by public transportation, please be looking over your shoulder. Try to protect yourself from pickpockets, okay? At least from the pickpockets. You will not be able to carry to carry a gun around here if you're a tourist. So yeah, it's not America, man. Be safe out here, okay? Taking back what I was talking, I'm gonna stop for a second here because I need some water. Just after I finished talking about. So as you go to the Northeast region, it's beautiful, it's amazing. The beaches are so much better than in Rio, at least in my opinion, okay? My honest opinion, the beaches in the Northeast, they're so much better than in the Southeast, okay? In Rio and São Paulo states, it's so much better. So there is Salvador in Bahia, the capital. There are many other places in there that are beautiful. There's also a kind of inland place in there which is called the Chapada Diamantina. It's beautiful. If you like a little bit more comfort, go to Lençóis. And if you like a little bit more, if you camping sites and a little bit more rustic environment, go to Vale do Capão. It's amazing. You're not gonna regret. It's there's a lot of, in fact, I met the place where I met the most foreigners was in Chapada Diamantina. It was really incredible how many there were in there. Germans, French, Spanish, people from everywhere. I met an Icelandic girl in there. I have never met in my life an Icelander. As you go to Northeast, be careful as well. It's as dangerous as in Rio and São Paulo and big urban areas. Let's see. There are many places all over the coast, that you can go. Just take Google Earth and travel through it. Okay, you'll see many places, incredible places in there. Recommendations with pictures and all that stuff. Okay, so there's Sergipe, Aracaju. Aracaju is the capital of Sergipe. There's Maceió in Alagoas. There's Fortaleza in Ceará. If you like kite surfing, for example, Ceará is the perfect place. Really long beaches with a lot of wind. It's perfect for kite surfing, actually. And as you go north, there's also Maranhão, of course. There's Lençóis Maranhenses, which there are dunes and buggy rides over the dunes. It's amazing, man. Also really good place to go. And just take Google Earth and look for the smaller towns and villages. Those are the best places to go, okay? Like Itacaré in Bahia grew a little bit more, so it's a bit more dangerous in there. If you stay in the touristic zones, in the small town, you will be safe. But right close to it, like I think it's 30 kilometers, you'll arrive to Serra Grande, which is a small village, but it's so amazing. Ask the locals for the best beaches, like the Pompilho Beach and stuff like this. They're all deserted areas, man. All over the coast of the Northeast, you can find deserted areas where there will be only you and the people with you. Okay, you'll look the whole beach and you will not see a living soul in there. It's amazing, man. You feel like you're in the wild and stuff like this. Anyway, and as you go to the north part of Brazil, there is Porto Velho in Rondônia, which you can see the Rio Madeira and Rio Negro e Solimões. There are two rivers with different compositions of water. The chemical composition of the water is different, so there is like a meeting place where the waters don't mix up. So one river is dark and the other river is brownish color, and it's amazing, man, how they don't mix up. And there are many opportunities for you to see these wild places and such. Rondônia is in Roraima is in the Amazon forest. Acre is in the Amazon forest, but it's more inland. Okay, there is Pará also, which you can go to the Igarapés, which are rivers with very, very, very cold water, but it's amazing, very therapeutic water. There's also the sea and other rivers as well. But sometimes there's what we call muvuca, which is lots of people doing a lot of noise and hearing loud music and throwing garbage everywhere. I personally don't like these places, but if it's your preference, please go. Okay, you'll have an amazing experience. If you go to Amazonas, which is it's the heart of the Amazon forest. Like for example, Manaus is the heart of the Amazon forest. It's the capital of Amazonas. There's also amazing experiences in there. The Amazon forest is beautiful, but like I said, please try to take a jab for febre amarela, yellow fever, and malaria first. Don't just go there without those vaccines. It's really important that you have those updated in your system. All right. Also tetanus, it's a good recommendation to renew your, I think it's 10 years, right, the tetanus vaccine. So if you need it, if you need an update on your vaccines, please do before you come. You never know what's gonna happen. So yeah, I'm gonna take a sip of my water here and maybe try to add some more stuff as I try to recall them. Yeah, so I digressed so much talking about all this stuff because my head is like a million miles per hour, million kilometers per hour in here. Man, check this out. Check the size of this ant. It's just enormous. Look. I'm kind of an entomologist myself. I've studied in college, so I like those. I like insects. I don't like arachnids, but I do like insects. They're very important for the environment, right? Not only the bees, every insect has. And as a curiosity, I'm digressing again. As a curiosity, in South America there are many species of bees that don't have stings, you know, and they're really important for our environment in here as well. Anyway, I was talking about the importance. I digressed so much that I forgot to tell you about the importance of the CATs, right? I mentioned the CATs, but I didn't say why they were important, okay? Because in there you can get all the assistance you need, all the information you need, like maps, because there are trails. For example, in the Chapada Diamantina, there are hiking trails that you need to walk for a whole day, a whole 20 hours in total. So sometimes some people can't do that and they will have to sleep in the middle of the way, camp, all right? And then you can stay as much as you want in there, and then to go back, it's another day to go back. So another day, another camp. In the CATs you can find maps for those kinds of trails, right? I always recommend the people to go to the national parks if they're close to one, because it's just amazing. You will not regret. And the national parks, they will not rescue you, but they will give you a lot of information on how to not need a rescue. Only in extreme cases I think they would call the firefighters responsible for rescuing the woods and stuff like that. Just don't play around to find out, okay, if they're going to rescue you or not. But the national parks, there's a little bit more safety, because usually there's a lifesaver in there. Also from the Corpo de Bombeiros, which are the firefighters. They're not responsible only to take care of fires anyway, but also for rescue and lifeguard. You can find maps in the CATs. You can find pictures of the best places that people go to have fun. And because, for example, if you go to Chapada dos Veadeiros or Chapada Diamantina, there are so many. If you stay a month, you will not know every single waterfall to visit, every single hiking trail, okay? if you stay a year, I go there since I'm like 17 years old was the first time I went there, and I still don't know the whole place because it's just impossible to know the whole place, okay? But at least the most visited waterfalls, the most famous ones, like the Santa Barbara and the Haizama, there's so many. If I start to tell you the names of the the visiting places, I will not stop. There's content for like a whole month of that. I intend to show you this place, not only talk about those places, but show you. But first I need better equipment. Some places got really expensive to go now. I have friends in these places, of course, but some of these places they charge really expensive fees to get in, and it's gotten crazy right now. For you it won't be that much expensive, okay? For us it's kind of lame that they're raising the fees to get in so much. Anyway, I need better equipment. I need to fix my car because I'm having some problems with the gasoline tank. It's kind of dripping. It's not from the bottom, thank God. I can still roll with my car, but it's really not apt for traveling anymore, so I need to fix that, and that costs a lot of money. Anyway, so I digressed a lot, I talked a lot. There's so much more that I could say that I could remember. I only have my bullet points in here to talk about stuff, and I'm trying to make a spontaneous kind of content, just trying to remember things from the top of my head. And I really hope you enjoyed this conversation. Feel free to add anything, to ask anything, because then I could be more specific with the answer, all right? And I really hope you enjoyed. So I'll see you in the next one, okay? Bye. Okay, just one more thing, okay? Don't trust people immediately. Allow them to prove their worth to you, okay? Because sometimes, and it already happened with me, sometimes people will come to you all friendly and stuff and smiling, but from one second to another you will find out that you got involved in a pickle. All right, you got yourself in a pickle. Don't trust anyone immediately. If you feel like there's something wrong, something's off about some people around you, just go to just try to move to a place where there's more people passing by and stuff like this, okay? Already happened with me, already happened with friends. Some people will pretend to be fond of you and stuff. They will be smiling, they will be all like trying to pretend they're in the same vibe as you and stuff, but sometimes it takes a turn and a U-turn, and you realize that if you stay there any longer you'll be in a pickle. If you realize that soon enough, you might as well just get out of any trouble that could happen with you. Now it's for real. See you in the next one. Bye.